Good evening. I'm Tim O'Connell, Chair of the Utility Board. We are here for our regularly scheduled meeting starting at approximately 5:05 p.m. on December the 13th. Pursuant to due notice to the public, we are holding this meeting by Zoom. Mr. Kentner, is there anybody from the city who would like to call the roll?
We'll call the roll this evening. Chair O'Connell.
Present.
Vice Chair Melton. He's here. He's just on
Present.
Board Member Majewski.
I'm present.
Board Member Marshall.
Present.
Board Member Lair.
Present.
Board Member Quantz.
Present.
And Board Member Picorni.
I believe he had indicated that he was going to not be able to be with us this evening.
Correct. And then Council Liaison Andrel.
Here, thanks.
Thank you. Are there any public appearances? I see none, and I don't believe we had any indication that there would be any. I believe we had the minutes of the last meeting attached to the agenda packet. I'd taken a motion to approve those.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Member Lair moved, Vice Chair Milton second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Unanimous, thank you. I'm doing this from memory. Because I'm so delayed, I don't have the agenda called up. My recollection is we have no other items of old business before proceeding on to new business. And I believe our first order of new business is the presentation from Recology.
Yep.
So
Good
I'll
evening,
turn
Chair
it over
O'Connell.
to,
I'll introduce the Recology team. So with us this evening, and they're new faces to the Utility Board, as I'm sure Anthony and Logan will both speak to a bit. There's been quite a bit of staff changes taking place at Recology. And so we have some new faces, but also some old faces. So Anthony's been with Recology and has been part of the implementation team for quite a while. But he is now the new general manager of the King County Recology team. And then Logan Harvey, who you see on the screen here as well, is our contract liaison that works very closely with us. He's a member of the Recology team as well. And then obviously Ross Freeman, our sustainability coordinator, you see his familiar face as well. So with that, I will turn the presentation over to Anthony and Logan. Reminder to the Utility Board, we have a 10-year contract with Recology. We're in probably just winding down the first third of that 10-year contract. And so the rates are set by the contract, but there's some uniqueness to our contract given the commodity assessment that takes place each and every year and the commodity adjustment mechanism. But really tonight is to introduce you to these two individuals, ask questions about solid waste. This is sort of our annual report that we do every November. And then I'm sure
Jason,
they have a slide or two to talk about.
Could you back up a bit? You were quite garbled there. You were kind of cutting in and out and freezing. I think once you got past the point, we're about a third of the way through the contract. We know the prices are fixed. This is an annual presentation, but I think at that point you started getting a little garbled. Could you repeat yourself, please?
Perfect. My apologies. So yes, the rates are fixed per the contract, with the one exception is the commodity adjustment mechanism and obviously the King County tipping fee. I'm sure that Anthony and Logan will have a slide on that talks about those two elements of the contract and how they impact the Mercer rates. So with there, I will pause and turn the presentation over to Logan and Anthony.
Great, thank you so much, Jason. I really appreciate you having us here today. Members of the Utility Board, we're glad to be here. We have a presentation to share with you, so if you don't mind, I'll share my screen. But again, I'm Logan Harvey, Government Relations Manager with Recology King County, and Anthony, do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, thank you very much. Anthony Brocato, General Manager of Recology King County.
Okay. I'll get my screen share started. All right. Go ahead, Anthony.
All right. Well, thanks, Logan. We'll get kicked off, and please, we take questions throughout the presentation or whatever, or at the end, whatever works best for all of you. But certainly a pleasure to talk a little bit about where we've been over the past year and how things are going with our operation and obviously servicing and taking care of Mercer Island. So over the past year, pretty similar challenges and opportunities, not unlike many of the businesses that you all work with or interface with on a daily basis. Especially at the beginning of 2022, certainly coming kind of towards the broaching out of the pandemic and restrictions, a lot of staffing challenges, but we've really solidified that really over the last 6 months. As Jason mentioned, a lot of changes in our leadership team. A lot of the changes are more or less promotions from within the company as we've had some folks move on. So we do have a tenured team in terms of within the industry and within the company, but a lot of us are new in our roles within the last 6 to 9 months. And we're looking forward to some of the things we've got from a strategic standpoint we're working on for the coming year as well. Next slide. So the big things from a staffing standpoint and from a customer service, we've really put a lot of emphasis specifically in the last half of the year on relative to where we've been the last few years of overstaffing our customer service team, really honing in on metrics, really putting a focus on service time and seconds to answer in terms of when we get calls from customers and addressing root cause and having that customer service team reach out and work directly with operations to resolve any issues. And that's been a huge help, as you'll see in some metrics down the road here on the slideshow. But then from our Waste Zero team, that's our education outreach team that Logan oversees that team. And that plays a big role in outreach in terms of creating diversion opportunities within Mercer Island, but then also from a contamination that comes into our recycling streams that our material recovery facility deals with. So tackling those issues upstream is really a big part of what the Waste Zero outreach team does, specifically with multifamily and commercial businesses. And then our operational supervisors, when we talk about supervisor headcount, we're talking about supervisors out in the field, working with our drivers, driving efficiency, root cause analysis to any issues or challenges that are having. And so we've over doubled our supervisor staff just in the past 6 or 7 months. And the key with that is again, having folks out there supporting our drivers, but also having the opportunity to follow up with businesses, residents, with throughout the community as quickly as possible, or just frankly to look at any opportunities out there. And then on the ongoing with all the companies in our industry is drivers, is hiring drivers. And so we've put a full court press on hiring drivers, really fine tuning some of our training in-house once we bring drivers in to get some of the skills up. And we'll have drivers that come in and have a commercial driver's license, but never driven a garbage truck. And so getting them prepared to some of the challenges they have in terms of what you deal with in a garbage truck versus a long haul truck or a 18-wheeler out on the road. It's very different. And obviously, some of the challenges on physically out there. And then one thing we're very much proud of that we've been working on really digitally on a local level, but also with our corporate team, is developing an in-house CDL training school. And this allows great opportunity with our entry-level employees. So our entry-level sorters at the MRF, they're all under the same union local as our drivers. So we were creating a pipeline for employees to basically enhance opportunity for themselves and their family, get a CDL, get the skills they need, and to move through the ranks of our company from an entry-level position. Next slide, please.
Let me unmute myself. Great. So Anthony already discussed a little bit of kind of our hiring practices and customer service. We've done a wage reset there, and that's really allowed us to bring in a solid team. So I'll walk through some of the customer service data from the last year. Pretty consistent call volumes and email volumes throughout the year. We had that snow event last year, and you see this jump in kind of December and January as a result of that. Another little bump in November. We had a snow event this last year, and it looks like we've got one coming up in December as well. The next slide. So with that fully staffed team, we've been able to really drill down and have a lot of success in our customer service metrics. This time last year, we were looking at about 62% average, or 60% of calls answered in under 20 seconds. And now we are at 93.9%. We have a goal of answering the phone within 20 seconds. And over the last 3 months, we've achieved that, actually less than half of that time required. So with that fully staffed team, we're looking to see the success continue throughout the year, next year in 2023. You can see in kind of February, March, and April, this is where we were struggling to hire. Some numbers were going on. We were getting people in, but still kind of getting around that 20% or that 20 seconds to answer. In July and August, we had hired people, but we're training them, which took people off the phones to kind of cover and make sure that they were getting trained. And now we're seeing that fully staffed team really rocking and rolling and putting some great numbers on the board and providing an excellent quality of service to the citizens of Mercer Island. So great numbers there. Average handle time as another metric. So you can see that in the blue here. We want to continue to drive that down, but not too far down. We always want to see those, we want to answer customers' questions, but we don't want it to have it take so long that it results in a bad quality of service for other customers who are calling in. I see Tim O'Connell has a question here. Go ahead.
Can you go back to the previous slide?
Absolutely.
So is that average seconds to answer when the phone stops ringing, or is that when they actually are talking to a representative?
So when the phone stops ringing, so from the time they dial our phone number and they get connected to that their phone starts ringing for them, within 20 seconds, we're supposed to be answering that phone call and talking to the customer.
So somebody is talking. It's not just thank you for calling Recology recording.
It is a person speaking with them.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great question. So again, average handle time. One of the things that we're trying to do as well is start calling customers back. So if you have a question and it's going to take me a little bit of time to look it up, I'll go ahead and say, hey, look, let me call you back. Go answer that, get the answer to that question, call that customer back. And that's driving our average handle time down and providing a better customer service to our customers, because they can go about their day and know that we'll call them back and get that answer to them. Abandoned calls and abandoned rate is also driving down as a result of improved customer service. We're seeing 1.3% of calls abandoned. So that's a customer called in and then they hung up the phone without talking to us. Sometimes these are, might be that they felt like it was taking too long. Other times it's going to be, oh, my mom called me right when I called in, or some other reason I had to get off the phone. So we're not sure always where these are, exactly where these are coming from. We always want to have this as low as possible. And we definitely see the results here of that fully staffed customer service team and that low seconds to answer that we're experiencing right now. Misses per 1,000. So we have a goal of below one miss per 1,000 question or collections. Currently, we're sitting at 0.3 misses per 1,000 collections. So 22 customers missed in the month of October. All those misses, our goal is to resolve them within 1 day. So the next day, picking that customer up and taking care of them. We submit reports to the city on that on a monthly basis as well. So we've stayed under this goal throughout the year, and we'll continue to drive that number down, especially with our operations supervisors out in the field, improving quality of service, improving efficiency of those routes to keep making sure that we're providing high quality customer service and high quality pickups to the citizens of Mercer Island. So we've done some improvements as well, kind of switching gears on outreach and customer service enhancements. Responding to some kind of questions around the snow event and just always wanted to improve the quality of our service. If you go to the Recology website and you look under tools, there's a piece of that says helpful resources. There's a piece that says collection calendar. By clicking on that, a customer can, and we advertise this with a QR code in our annual service guides. We've had about 5,000 or 6,000 people throughout our service areas sign up for it. You can type in your address and get a calendar reminder for what your service day is. So this is going to let you know, okay, today is garbage, trash, and recycle day. Next week is just garbage, compost day. So there's it's a nice tool for people to be able to remember what their service is that day and not have to call in customer service in case they forget what their day of the week is. And then if you can see, it's a little small, but here, this is Thanksgiving and this is a real Mercer Island address. On Thursday, we're able to put a note in there that says, hey, if you're a Thursday customer, your service is being moved to Friday. If you're a Friday customer, it's being moved to Saturday because of that Thanksgiving holiday. So again, just trying to get that information to customers so that they have it before they call, and they can access it more readily. It's also on our websites and our social media that we share. This Recollect app also provides a what bin tool. So we call it a what bin tool. This is to help customers understand what items go in which bin. So there's lots of customer confusion around this. I highlighted one, which is a pizza box, which people often put in the recycling, really should be going into compost. And so you search any item, we can update it if items are not being found, and it tells you which bin to put it in. So it's a nice tool. If you put in something like batteries, it'll tell you to take it to the Recology store where we can recycle it for free and things like that. So it's another one. And then on the outreach side and with the kind of equipment and tools that our team has, we've rolled out these door hangers for multifamily residents. They're translated into Spanish as well. And we use this throughout our service area, hang them on tenant stores along with a little recycle right bag. Really helps educate them on what is recyclable to help drive that diversion rate up and also push that contamination rate down. All right. And so this is an overview of the outreach that we've done over the past year. So I got out to 3 different apartment buildings to do those door hangers and those recycle right bags, as well as putting stickers on the bin. Got out to Grandview International to do some staff training there. Did 2 touch a truck events and 2 tabling events as well the past year. So it's been kind of a resurgence of events as COVID's wound down and some more ability for our team to really get out there. Another piece that we're doing in outreach that may affect Mercer Island residents is we've been restarting over the last couple months those quarterly education seminars at our Recology store, which is just down the road in Issaquah, a little bit of a drive. But there's a store there also in Shoreline that you can come and learn about, waste zero wrapping, do a what goes where presentation and get those questions answered. Cool. Looking forward to outreach in 2023. We're looking to do more tabling events. We're looking to improve our diversion focus. And so start looking after recycling at commercial and multifamily places that need more recycling. So we compare their garbage level to their recycling level and are going to do outreach there to make sure that those levels get more even. We divert more material. Yes, I see Steve has a question.
Just wanted to double check. Maybe I missed what a tabling event was.
Yeah, so tabling, you can see the kids here kind of in the bottom. So we have a variety of things. So we have staff members at a farmer's market or some sort of festival. We will provide flyers and information to people that come by and ask questions about our booth. If they have customer service questions, we've referred those to customer service before. And then we have this sorting game, this what goes where games that kids really seem to like. So these little tiny devices are little tiny dollhouse items, and then the 3 bins that they're going to sort the material into. Helps people kind of understand what goes where. We have information about our stores, and we're just there to kind of educate the public and answer questions. So we're looking to get into more Mercer Island events over the next year, and as those continue to come back into the fold. So that's what that is.
Great, thank you.
Yeah. Great. So that's kind of outreach in 2023. Looking forward to doing more in the city of Mercer Island and keep driving that diversion up and that contamination down. And this is the current Mercer Island diversion rate is right about 62%, which is extremely high, even for King County. It's a good diversion rate. Big chunk of that going to food waste. And there's some room for improvement on the recycling side of things. And Anthony, I'll turn it back over to you. Oh, I can do this one. So inclement weather, we have a snow event that's coming up, and we work closely with the city when these issues come up. And so It's really our goal to make sure that customers know what's happening when it comes to inclement weather issues. So we've rolled out a couple different new tools that we didn't have in the previous year. One, we've got on our website this inclement weather bar that goes right under the main page. It's very visible and should attract customers to it. So if they go to our website, they're going to know what's going on with inclement weather. We update this with new information as we have it. The second, with that Recollect app, we're able to put in information to customers about what's going on with their service as well. So we can put this big attention banner up here, let them know, hey, we have a snow event, so customers are going to be moving on the next day. If we did drop boxes, these are where the drop boxes are located, to try to make sure that information gets out to customers directly and swiftly. On top of that, we're able to, if customers sign up for text notifications through that Recollect piece, we can text them and let them know to go to the website to check on inclement weather information. Beyond that, with all customers that are missed, if we're missing a half of a route or a whole route during a day due to inclement weather, we're going to do call them all. So these are direct automated phone calls to every single customer that have a recorded message for them to, your services is missed today due to inclement weather, and then this is what the process is going forward. Direct them to the website, or if it's going to be the next day or the next week, then we can communicate to them. And then also we do Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter posts. We boost those, so we put money behind that and blanket the King County area to direct people to go to our website. Information is there to try to get that in the hands of customers as quickly as possible. All right. Okay.
Thanks, Logan. Well, from a rate perspective, and obviously we've got the rate change or adjustment coming in January. A piece of that is the recycling rate adjustment. And just to give you some background on how where that derives from, is we do actually a characterization of recyclables that come in off of Mercer Island from residential routes a couple times a year, and then we characterize that to what a weighted average of what we're commanding on the commodity market for what we're able to sell those commodities for. And so over the course of that 12 months, that's put into a year-over-year increase. So obviously, if we're getting more for recyclables, that's going to reflect a decrease in rates for residential and multifamily customers. And that's what we saw this year, as 2022 overall was a higher commodity rate than 2021. So our residential customers will see a decrease of 13 cents per customer, multifamily a decrease in 8 cents per customer. Yes, Lisa.
Thanks. Is that per month or per billing cycle?
That's per month.
Okay, thanks.
Next slide, please. So then looking at the actual rate adjustment, it's just tied to regional CPI. Per our contract with Mercer Island, there's actually a ceiling at 5%. So looking at the first 6 months, year over year, calendar year over year, there was a 8.58 or 59% increase in CPI. But in terms of the collection side of the rate, the Recology charges customers, that'll result in a 5% increase. The disposal piece, which is we get from King County, that was actually about a 9% increase, or I'm sorry, 9.5% increase in disposal. So that combined creates the overall rate to the customer per month, and then obviously minus the recycling adjustment, which is the 13 cents, which you'll see kind of the overall change over change in the next slide here.
Lisa, did you have another question?
Oh, no, sorry. I forgot to lower my hand.
Just want to make sure.
So for a 96-gallon cart of trash, the rate will, effective January, be $70.50 per customer.
I think you were frozen for a moment, Anthony. We lost the very beginning of your discussion of this slide.
Yes, sorry about that. Yeah, where's up? So the let's see here. So what we have is an increase of for a commercial side, or I'm sorry, for the disposal side. King County did an increase for disposal of about 9.5%. And then Recology's portion for the increase based on CPI was about 5%, because that's where we cap. Well, overall CPI was a little over 8%. There's a ceiling there at 5%. So that combined, and then there would be the reduction of the 13 cents per customer on top of that overall rate.
Yeah, Meredith.
Yeah, I'm back a couple of slides on that rate reduction. Is that solely a function of the prices you're getting for the commodities, or is it also a function of how much the city is recycling or diverting?
So it's based on the actual what we're getting for the recyclables as a percentage. Yeah.
Right, so it's a function just of the market for them.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know if there's any other questions on the rates, but yeah, on the 23 column, that reflects the overall all-in rate based on the adjustments for disposal, collection, and then the recycling deduction.
I have a question. Sorry, I can't find my hand button now, but if you don't mind, can you give me some just feeling for the larger commercial customers, 4, 6, or 8 cubic yards? Are those going to be super large multifamilies? Are those going to be the grocery stores? What?
Yeah,
and this is just like for my own information because I'm just curious.
Yes, so we've got some multifamily sites that have larger of that size. 8 yards is pretty seldom that we see 8 yards. That's about as big as obviously we get, but pretty rare. Typically for multifamily, they're more in the 3 and 4 yard range. But 6 yard, we'll see at grocery stores. We've seen some other businesses and facilities just based on the volumes and the frequency that they're needing collections. I'd say 3 and 4 yards are probably the most prevalent of those types of entities.
Thanks.
Great. And so to notify customers about the rate adjustment, we mail out residential, commercial, and multifamily mailers. They include information about what goes in each stream, and then of course the rates that are there. And then we update the website as well with the new rates. Great. Shifting gears, there are a number of legislative changes that are impacting solid waste that are kind of have either already passed or are likely to pass. The first two that I'm going to bring up have already passed. The fixed annual charge is probably the one we'll need to address first, which is the county is switching from a per ton cost to a fixed annual charge. So there's an administrative fee that they charge on top of the dump fee that pays for the system and pays for the administration of the King County transfer station and landfill system. And so this was previously put on every single ton of material that was of garbage that was brought to landfill or transfer station was charged this this rate on a per ton basis. Now, because of diversion and there's less material that's going there and more that's going to MRFs and going to or materials recovery facilities in the recycling stream or to compost facilities like Cedar Grove, there's been a reduction in the actual revenue that King County is receiving. And so as a result, the county has passed a change from per ton cost to a fixed annual charge that cities will be required to pay or haulers will be required to pay from each city based on their population. And so this is a change in the way that this pass-through is going to work. And so we'll be working with city staff and the utility board to devise and come up with a solution to this. We have one that we've approved for the city of Maple Valley. I believe I sent that all over before. We were going to look at doing this last year, but the county pushed the can down the road because basically no cities had passed this change. And so we've got another year to get this approved, but it's unlikely that the county is going to allow that to push again. So this is something we'll definitely need to address this year. And it will be a change on kind of the way that rates are structured. And so we'll require a contract amendment in order to get this approved. Go ahead, Tim.
So when you say a fixed annual charge, to whom? I mean, is it a charge to the city? Is it a charge to you? I mean,
So
who's being charged and what?
county disposal fees or the administrative fees that pass through as part of the contract. So
Sure.
it's something that's it's kind of charged to both, right? It's the city's waste and then we're the contracted hauler. So it's kind of on both of us to figure that out. In a way, the exact language of the law, I'm not sure exactly what it says, but it's kind of that it's a pass-through charge that's always been in the contract. And so the way that it works is the county expects a lump sum amount of money from each jurisdiction. And then,
Okay, so it's going to come from the per city.
yeah, per
Correct.
city. Exactly. Yeah, it's per
Okay.
city. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's, yeah, there you go.
But collected by the hauler, and then in our contract with you and between the city, it's handled as a pass through. That's the multiple elements. It's charged to you, or that you collect it basically on behalf of the county, like another surcharge or tax, and then
So
it's
it's-
a pass through cost in the contract.
Yeah, so it's charged to customers through the rates, right? So the way it worked when it was a per ton basis, we would just add it as part of the disposal fee, based off like a volume calculation of what the rates look like, is my understanding. And Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong. But now it's going to be a spread. This is the full cost. This is what we expect. And so it's going to be spread through the rates in that way. So it's paid by the customers, then to us, then to the county.
Right, so they're dividing this fixed amount up amongst how many customers they expect us to collect from Mercer Island. And so the challenge, I think why there was a lot of hesitancy from a lot of cities as their county was pushing through this, was there's going to be a plus or minus at the end of the year. And then to figure out with each city how that city wants to deal with either extra that's collected that would go back to the city. Does that get dispersed back to customers? Is that rolled over into the next year for payment? So those are some of the conversations and challenges that have come up with this process.
Right, and that plus or minus is created by customers canceling service and starting service and things like that. So how we deal with that rollover, what kind of gap we want to leave ourselves, all that kind of separate questions to discuss with the staff and the board. Tim, Linda, Lisa, however you'd like to go. Or Lisa, looks like you got a question. Go ahead.
Isandro.
I do. So just thinking about, incentives and rewards and punishments, carrots and sticks. If the county is switching from a cost per ton to a fixed annual charge from the cities, is that going to be on a population basis? Is it going to be on a how much do we contribute to the landfill basis? I mean, it would seem it would take away an incentive for citizens to recycle and decrease their waste flow if we're just going to get hit with a per citizen annual charge that is the same as a city that's not doing a good job.
Yeah, I'm certainly not here to defend or support the county's actions. It's been passed to start. I doubt that it'll create that much of incentive because recycling costs are rolled into the garbage costs. So if you recycle more, you can reduce your garbage and thus reduce your garbage bill. And that differential would be more than whatever this cost is going to be. People are already paying part of this administrative cost. It's just the way it's paid is different. My understanding is that it's population based. But yeah, I hope we don't see people, reducing their garbage or getting rid of their recycling and putting more material in garbage. I don't think it'll work that way, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I wasn't asking you to defend it or I was just curious as to what the public policy thoughts were at the county level, and I know you can't answer that, but it seems odd to me.
To hazard a guess, I think they just need to continue to keep up their staff and administration there. And as their revenues decrease due to good diversion, I saw this in Sonoma County as well. As their revenues decrease due to good diversion, they need to find a way to recoup that administrative revenue that they were getting from the disposal fee. So they went to fixed annual charge to create a stable revenue stream effectively for the county employees.
And has Recology and Mercer Island, have you started the process of examining changes that are necessary to the contract? Where are we on that process?
So we discussed it a bit last year. Luckily the county pushed it, so we have some more time. We had worked with a consultant and the city of Mercer Island. And so the city of Mercer Island hired a consultant and they produced a policy that we worked with them on and think is decent and works for us for sure. And it worked for the city of Maple Valley as well. And so I've sent that to city staff and we can discuss it and see how that works, bring it to you and have you approve. So we have a nice template. If there's another way to go about it, I mean, it's then we're happy to pursue other angles if Mercer Island wants to adjust how that works.
Well, so when does it have to be done? When is this actually going to kick in? And so what's the time frame for actually getting the contract amendment and getting council approval and whatnot?
I think January 1st, 2024. So
2024. All right.
Yeah, we got some time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got all of 2023 to work this through.
Yeah, but we want to get it done.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Ross.
I was going to say, I think Jason got booted off for a second, but I can speak to that. So yeah, we've begun discussions with Recology. We have a few other models to work from, and we have 12 months to do this. But as Logan was saying, we're pretty sure that there won't be another extension. So we'll want to address that sooner in the next year rather than later. But we do have a decent amount of time.
Good. Okay. Thank you.
Great. And yeah, thank you to city staff for they're always great partners on these things, and we've been working well with them. So I appreciate
Great.
that. I've got another question. Yeah, go ahead.
Let me unmute. So do we know yet how this is going to impact Mercer Island in terms of what our prior costs tended to be and what we expect this change will be? I mean, do we know whether it's a positive or a negative for us, or have a guess for that?
I don't know. I defer to Ross as well. I think we need to go through the process and.
Okay.
Yeah, we have not run the calculations, and I actually, because this came down the pipeline so rapidly late a few months ago this year, cities were busy just scrambling to figure out how they were going to reopen their contracts and take care of all that. And the nuanced work of researching what the numbers would do, that hasn't really happened yet, because it was sort of a fire drill. And pretty quickly it became clear that nobody was going to be able to meet a deadline of the end of this year. So then the cities marshaled together and organized into asking for a 1-year extension.
All right. Thank you.
Just, I guess, Logan, your comment that the Mercer Island has a fairly high diversion rate even within the framework of King County. I would assume that we'll probably end up a little bit on the short end of that stick, since if we have a higher diversion rate per population, then we'll be, going forward, we'll be being charged more at the average, I would assume. So
I think that may be a fair comment, especially if you consider it was based on tonnage, and now it's yeah, understood. Go ahead, Tim.
I just have to say I apologize, but I have to leave the call. But you are in the capable hands of Vice Chair Milton. So I very much appreciate the part of the presentation that I was able to view, and I'm sorry that I have to bug out. But as I was telling people before we started, apparently I'm not in control of my own life right now. So I apologize for having to leave. But Steve, you're in charge.
yay.
You signed up for the tough duty, buddy.
Oh yeah, exactly.
All right.
No,
Take
that's
care,
fine.
everybody.
Thanks,
See you
Tim.
next month.
Good night, Tim.
I know.
Okay. Other questions around fixed annual charge? Okay. So moving on, 1799 is a state bill. It's an organics law and an organics requirement. So over the course of time, there's two things that happen here, two main things that happen here. Cities are required to develop a procurement ordinance to purchase organic material or sort of composted material and give that away. And it also requires by 2026, any business generating 4 yards of solid waste is required to arrange for organic services. So it's a big change in the way that we do business. It steps down. So the start, I think, in 2024 is any business that generates 8 cubic yards of compostable material, which would affect very few businesses. It's quite a lot of material. Maybe hospitals would generate this much, maybe acute care centers. Then it would be 6 yards of organic material generated in 2025. And then 2026, it's 4 yards of solid waste, which is garbage and recycling, to arrange for organic services by 2026. So it's a big undertaking to, these contracts were developed without this law in mind. So it's a large undertaking, but it's something that, with our Waste Zero team, we believe we'll be able to get out ahead of, start talking to businesses, and getting them signed up for compost as this law starts to roll out. But it's definitely something we'll be chatting with the city about as we work to implement.
And Logan, I'll just chime in real quick there. So the piece of that law that required cities to pass a procurement of compost ordinance, we've done that part. So we took care of that at the last couple council meetings of this year. So that's done. And we made it by the deadline, which is the end of this year. This was another very rapid developing process. So that's taken care of. And the other piece, this will certainly, for several years now, we've been trying to get more engagement from restaurants and also from multifamily residential to have composting services available. And this will definitely start to get more attention perhaps than we were able to get. And so I think it'll start to turn the tables there.
All right. The next bill has not passed, but it looks likely to pass given the current state makeup. This is EPR, which is Extended Producer Responsibility. It's a bill that's making its way through the state legislature, has been for a number of years. So the bill creates, it does a number of things. It creates a producer responsibility organization. So this is made up of bottle producers and other material manufacturers that either sell into the state or produce in the state. And the goal is to increase the state's recycling rate to 70%. Working with this one, it's been very interesting to kind of learn more about it. There's things that we think that this bill does really well, which would be the state recyclables list that mandates the number of different things that are recyclable and are not, and puts some onus on producers to reduce material that's not recyclable coming into the state. We also like the truth in labeling, which requires material that says it's recyclable to be recyclable. We have some questions on the way that the funding of the PRO works, the Producer Responsibility Organization works, and how that money is really going to be used to improve the recycling rate throughout the state. But Recology is an organization that likes to innovate around these things, likes to improve diversion. And so if there's ways we can use this bill to generate that, then that would be a great thing. Go ahead, Board Member Lair.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious, and this may be beyond your folks' expertise. Is this a bill that's existed that has been passed in other states, and what's their experience with it?
Versions of this bill have been passed in Oregon, Hawaii, and Colorado. This bill is different than all of them. Each one of them has had different effects. One of the things that we liked about the Oregon bill is it forced people to pay for contamination. And really the PRO's role was mostly focused around doing good education, creating recycling depots that are for items that are difficult to recycle. So this one's different. They expect the PRO.
What's the PRO? I'm sorry.
The Producer Responsibility Organization, which is the organization that's made up of producers of recyclable material. The idea behind the proponents of the bill say that they're going to meet with stakeholders, determine how we get to the 70% recyclable rate, get a bill passed by an additional organization, and then fund that program and actually the whole cost of recycling but how that funding exactly works is really unclear. And how much money is going to be available to cities is unclear at this time. And so that's kind of the question that we have right now, is that there's been a lot of talk of cities being able to use this money to rebate customers, but that doesn't seem like something that's going to increase the recycling rate. It's an interesting bill, and it's something that we're kind of taking a neutral but curious approach to. We support bills that we believe are definitely going to improve the recycling rate and improve diversion, but we have questions with this one for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions here? Great. That's it for legislative stuff.
I have one question there. So is there anything else you're looking at down the road that, from a legislative standpoint, that's being lobbied for that would have some significant impacts if it gains traction?
Yeah, I mean, we continue to stay apprised of this kind of information. Recology is a member of the Washington Refuse and Recycling Association and the Washington State Recycling Association, which have, large arms that really focus on legislature and what's coming on. Changes that we expect: the EPR bill contains a bottle bill, which would have some changes. That requires like a cost for a bottle, and then that cost to be able to be recouped by somebody who would bring it to a depot. There's also expected to be a second organics bill that kind of cleans up issues with the existing 1799 bill. So that's something that's on the horizon. And then things around vehicles. So, large trucks and things like that, the electrification or zero emissions vehicles, is stuff that we're really tracking really strongly as well, to make sure, how that's going to affect our business and things like that. We're a leader on electric vehicles. We just brought 2 into a new contract with the city of Issaquah. We have 2 that are running in the city of Seattle right now. But as far as where the technology's at, there's improvements to be made there, I would say. Yeah. Other questions? Great. Well, that's it for our presentation. Are there other just general recycling questions or solid waste questions that either Anthony or I could be of help with?
I was also just curious, for my own sake, how do our rates in this region compare to other major metro areas?
Anthony, do you want to address? Or?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, we're definitely seeing a kind of a reset in rates. Probably the most recent would be Issaquah, we signed a contract with. So kind of put more in line. I think until a couple of these contracts recently came up over the past year, Mercer Island was probably some of the higher rates, just because the contract started in 2019. But that's kind of set a benchmark for the region, whether it's Recology is the hauler or WM or Republic. That seems to be where we're at. And so I think when Issaquah sees their new rates kick in this next summer, they'll be a little bit higher than Mercer Island, and we're seeing that as well with some of their cities in the region. So we're hope that answered your question, but we're definitely seeing an overall reset in the region, as there's quite a few municipalities in King County that are coming up to age of contract or renewing contracts between now and 2025.
I would assume that with our contract being capped at a 5% adjustment, and with current inflation rates higher than that, the next couple of years will include those inflation increases on their renegotiations that we'll be actually retreating from with our cap. So that actually is a good job on the city for putting that in. And I know from the other side that those suck, but yeah, oh well.
That's a good point. As the contractors are seeing now, I think there's quite a few cities that are wishing they had the opportunity to renew a year or two ago, based on where things are at today, over the next couple of years.
And then I'll add as a general comment, I've been really pleased with my service over the last year. Even weather delays were quickly made up. all my pickups were on time. It's been flawless.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. I'll echo that. Okay. Anybody else have any more questions for Recology? All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for giving us the presentation tonight. We always enjoy these as they come up each year.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure. Appreciate all your time.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to present. Thank you, staff, and thank you, Commission, for having us here. And yeah, we appreciate servicing your community.
Great.
Take
Yeah,
care.
thank you both.
Thanks, Ross.
Thanks all. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Yeah.
And then Jason, I think the next thing on the work is the work plan review for 2023.
Yeah, good evening. If you look at the work plan, it's pretty bare bones right now. I think the key takeaway for today is we're going to try and keep the every other month rotation going. It seems to work well. So we will fill out the work plan for the February meeting. So you have a recess in January and we'll reconvene in February. And we'll have a work plan put together for you guys to review at that point in time. We have some big projects on the horizon, both on the water and the sewer side. So you'll likely get some capital updates along the way, including the AMI deployment, as well as the SCADA implementation on the sewer side of the house. So stay tuned, enjoy the holidays, and we'll reconvene in February with a outlined work plan for the UB's approval.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, that would pretty much take us to the closing. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll move.
Second.
Excellent. Motion and seconded. That should do it. Thanks a lot, folks.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.